Welcome to this session of commerce. Okay, so for today we have 2024 paper July 31. So in this question paper, we'll do section A and then also we'll do halfway of section B. Okay, so this is Success Academy School. Okay, so we offer various types of lessons. Okay, and also we publish materials of different types. Okay. So if you are still doing the grade 12, grade 9, okay, materials are available, okay, so please put your queries in the comment section, and then from there I'll be able to share the materials on WhatsApp and other platforms which are there. So let's get started, okay? So we'll start with section A. So in section A we have 20 marks, okay? So in here, the examiner went on to state, answer all the questions in this section in the inserted answer booklet by putting a cross on the letter you have chosen as your answer. Okay, so let's get started with question 1. So question 1, dash are new goods that have been produced, okay, for the first time and are one of their kind. Okay, so these goods which are produced for the first time, they are said to be original goods, okay? Yes, so other items, like for example here we have substandards, original, fake, okay, and then counterfeit. So these are goods, but commonly the ones which are produced for the first time are said to be original goods, okay? Yes, so they are sometimes said to be first class or first hand goods. So we call them original goods. And then we have question 2, which of the following is not mainly an effect of production on the environment? So we have the particular factors that affect production, okay, the effects of production on the environment. So we have degradation, okay, this can be an effect, okay, and then also erosion can be an effect, okay, and then littering commonly cannot be an effect of production. It's not mainly an effect. It can be an effect, but not mainly. This can be controlled, okay? But we have pollution. Pollution is a main effect. So these three, they are main effects, but littering is not commonly an effect. It's not commonly an effect, but it's an effect, but it's not commonly an effect, okay? So we have littering, okay? So if we review on the other question, okay? A service offered by the retailer to the customer before buying the goods is called. So this comes now to types of services. If we try to review type of services, we have after sale services, we have personal services, and then we have pre-sale services, and then we have sales service. So where, for example, pre-sale service commonly can be described as pre-sale service can be an assistance that is offered before making their purchase, okay? So if we look at pre-sale service, commonly it's the service that is offered by the customer before buying the goods, okay? So this is done before buying the goods, okay? So we call this as pre-sale service, okay? So that's the answer there, which we have as C. Okay, so let's look at the other questions. So, question 4, a contract is regarded as void when, okay? So, a void contract is the contract that commonly, or when we say the void contract, is the contract that is not legal. It is illegal, okay? And it is unenforceable by the law. That type of a contract, we call it a void contract. So it can be out of many things. It can lack legalities, okay, and then also the particular documentation cannot be properly be articulated and so forth. So that type of contract, we call it a void contract, okay. So there we have this particular answer as D, okay. If we look at the option answers, if we explore through the option answers, we have D as an option answer, which is the business purpose is illegal, okay. Yes. So other ones, they are legal. An agreement between two or more people, this is illegal. This is legal, okay? And then it has intentions between two parties to create legal relations. So this one is legal, okay? It is genuine to all parties involved. So all these, they are legal, but this one is illegal. Okay, so we can specify to state when the contract involves illegal activities, we can say that contract is void or unenforceable by the law. That contract is void. Okay, so these things, they make the contract to be void, meaning that it cannot be accepted. Okay, so we look at the other question, which is question 5. So in question 5 there, we can the examiner went on to state which of the following cannot be done to goods while in a bonded warehouse. So we need to know what a bonded warehouse is. So a bonded warehouse is a primary storage for goods on whose custom duty is not yet paid, or goods which are waiting to be re-exported. Okay, so that type of warehouse, we call it a bonded warehouse. Okay, so now commonly the particular bonded warehouse cannot, okay, it does not focus on processing raw materials. There is no processing which goes on in a bonded warehouse. So in a bonded warehouse, there are goods which are already packed. Those packed goods which are waiting for exportation, or let me say the exportation, or maybe waiting for the duty to be paid, okay, coming from importation. So in there, branding of goods is one of the roles of the bonded warehouse. Okay, and then in here we have finished goods. Okay, so these can be packed in the warehouse. Labeling of bottles of goods, that can be done in the warehouse, but in there is no processing of materials. Okay, so we have that. Okay, so we can even say that it is primary storage for imported goods whose duty is not paid, okay, but do not process raw materials. That's what it does. Okay, and then we have question 6. Internal expansion refers to the, okay, so internal expansion refers to the appointment of directors to the board of directors. So this is not one of it. And then merger of the two companies, this is not one of it. Then plowing back of profits into the business. So internal expansion requires the plowing back of profits into the business. So there are many various activities that can lead to plowing back of profits in the business. Okay, so this is one of the answer. Okay, and then D is not an answer. Take of competitors in the business. So this is not an internal expansion. So it deals with the plowing back of profits into the business. Okay, so we can state it involves the investment of profits to grow the business internally. Okay, rather than external methods like mergers or takeovers. So this is the internal expansion. Okay, so let's look at the other question. So on question 7, a document that is issued by the registrar of company as evidence that the company has been legally registered under the Companies Act is. Now in here we have various types of documents. So I'll take you through various types of documents which are given before starting the business. Okay, so let's look at this particular set. Okay, so we have the first one, which is the article of association. So an article of association is known as the articles of incorporation or corporate charter. Okay, it is a foundation document that defines a company's internal rules and regulation, outlining the framework for its operation and governance. So this one focuses on internal rules and regulation of the company. Okay, so we call it an article of association. Okay, and then let's look at the other one. So the other one is the memorandum of association. Okay, MAO. Okay, so MOA. So this one, basically, it is a fundamental legal document that outlines the company fundamental structure, powers, acting as its charter. Okay, so this one outlines the powers and then internal fundamental structures. That's what it does. Okay, then we have this other one, which is the certificate of incorporation. So it is a legal document that officially confirms the formation and the legal existence of the corporation. So that's the certificate of incorporation. Okay, then we have the other one, which is the certificate of trading. It's a document that allows the public limited company to legally begin trading and conducting business. So if we look at these particular documents which we have here, Okay, so we can even specify to the question what we have from there. So let's look back at the question. Okay, so in here we have the document that is issued by the registrar of companies, okay, as evidence, okay, as evidence, okay, that the company is okay, coming, okay. Okay, so here, sorry for taking more time. Okay, so in here we have the document that is issued by the registrar of company as evidence that the company has legally registered under the Companies Act. So we can call this as the certificate of incorporation. Okay, so we have the certificate of incorporation. This is one of the answer there. Okay, so we have C, that is certificate of incorporation. Okay, so that's the particular answer, which is B. Okay. So let's try to move forth. Okay, so we look at question 8. Okay, so question 8, which of the following is not the function of the Osaka Stock Exchange? Okay, so if we look at the particular functions of the Osaka Stock Exchange, which one is not a function? We have A, advertise shares to private limited companies. Okay, so, and then we have create free market, and then publish share prices, and then raise capital for shares. So we have A, the particular Osaka Stock Exchange do not advertise shares to private limited companies. Okay, this is not one of its function. Okay, so we have A, and then we have question 9. Which of the following goods are likely to be carried by sea transport? So now, if we look at sea transport, it does not carry a certain type of goods, like, for example, diamonds. Let me say diamonds can be carried, but these goods, they are so sensitive out of theft, okay, and then also many other factors that can occur to them, like being lost and so forth. So these diamonds can be carried at least by the aircraft, because diamonds, when they are carried by the ship, likely they can be theft, okay, they can be stolen by criminals, okay. Then we have flowers. These particular goods, they are fragile and so forth. Okay, so these goods mostly cannot reach a certain destination. Okay, they require something that is so fast in terms of reaching. And then jewelries and jewelries, these can be carried but not in bulky. Okay, so what can be carried in bulky by the sea transport? Commonly, we can carry coal. Coal can be carried by the seas. Okay. So we look at this other question, question 10. The following are functions of the bonded warehouse, except allowing, okay. So if we look at the functions of the bonded warehouse, just like from the previous parts, okay, we have to know that the bonded warehouse is a storage for goods which the custom duty is not yet paid, okay, or maybe goods that are waiting to be exported, okay. So the particular functions, which of the following are functions of the bonded warehouse, except, okay, transfer of custom duty, okay, transfer of custom duty, okay, transfer of custom duty on negotiable goods, okay, for the exportation. So this is the function, okay. Then B, the preparation of dusable goods for sale. This is one of the particular function, okay, because goods can be prepacked, branded in the warehouse in that form, okay. And then the importer to postpone payments of the duty. So this is one of the function, okay. D, supply of seasonal goods throughout the year. No, this is not a function, okay. So D is an answer. And then we have question 11. The most cost-effective mode of transport to be used when carrying motor vehicles from Japan to Tanzania is dash transport. So the particular ones which we can use most, which is efficient, is the sea, because on the sea there, a lot of goods can be carried. The motor vehicles can be carried, okay. Like, for example, railway lines are limited when it comes to distance. Okay, so these are limited, road is limited, okay, and then air, basically the space, and then the weight of vehicles. So the common one which can be ideal is the sea. Okay, So we have that one, okay? And then we look at the other question. So question 12, okay, a customer who wishes to withdraw money from the current account will use a, so if you want to withdraw money from the current account, you have to use the, we have A, cash-in slip, B, check, deposit slip, withdraw slip. So we usually use a withdraw slip, okay? So a withdraw slip, okay, is issued to the by the customer to the withdraw money from their current accounts, okay? So that is a withdraw slip. And then we have question 13. Okay, so question 13 goes on to state a payee of a check can transfer payments of the same check to another payee by, okay, so we can have endorsement, okay? So we have endorsing. Okay, so that is how one can transfer payments, okay? So through signing of the check in short, okay? So therefore we go to the other question. Question 14, which of the following are postal services, okay? So when it comes to postal services, okay, postal, okay, things that can be transferred. So we can have email, Swift cash, and then phonogram, okay, carrier services, and then we have cash on delivery. So if we look at postal services, an email is a postal service, okay? Then also we have a carrier service, a postal service, and then also we have cash on delivery is a post service, okay? But these two, they are not post services because they deal with each transaction. This one deals with transactions, okay, transactions between bank to bank or maybe bank to an account. So this one is not a postal service. And then phonogram is where a customer calls the particular tele office, okay, to give some queries, okay. So this is a phonogram. So the ones which we have as postal services, we have four. We have 1, 4, and 5. These are postal services, okay? So let's look into the other question. So in here, question 15, a machine that provides speed response to customers' inquiries on goods is, okay? So we can have a computer, okay, a France Mail, and then we have radio, and then we have television. So we have a computer. So a computer provides quick response to customers' queries, okay, on the goods. Okay, so that's an answer. And then we go to question 16. The packages that can be sent or posted in bundles at the same time, okay, at the special row rate are, okay, so we can specify, okay, so this is the things that are posted in bundles, okay, meaning that they are physical things, okay. So physical things that can be posted, we have printed matter. So printed matter can be posted at the same time and then also at a special low rate, okay? But these ones, they require higher rates, okay? These ones. Okay, and then question 17, which principle of insurance prevents the insured from gaining from over insuring property? So now, before before we answer this question, before we answer this question, I'll give you the type of principles. Okay, I'll give the description of these particular principles, and then from there we'll look at the answer. Okay, for the sake of studying. So let's look at the particular principles. The first one which we have is indemnity. Okay, let's look at indemnity. There is a principle of indemnity. So the principle of indemnity states that to restore the insurer's okay person to his or her former financial position without allowing him or her to make profit out of the loss. So this is the principle of indemnity. So it does not allow the customer or the client to make profit out of the insurance company. So that's what it states. And then the other one states, like for example, we have the principle of utmost good faith. Okay, sometimes they call it aberima, okay, or aberima fides. So aberima fides, it states that both the insurance company and the person seeking insurance cover, okay, must say the truth or act in good faith by telling the truth without leaving any facts, okay, leaving out any facts. So this principle, it focuses on telling the truth. You have to specify the truth to the insurance company of what happened, okay. Then we have this other one, which is the subrogation. So subrogation, it states that once the insured is compensated in full for the loss, the remains or wreck of damage is or recovered items becomes the property of the insurance company. So like for example, you involve yourself in an accident. When the insurance company buys you the new motor vehicle of the same type, that vehicle that has involved in an accident, for example, it will be taken as a property of the insurance company. So that's what this principle states. Then the last one, which is there, we have insurable interest. So it states that only the person who stands to lose financially if risk insured against occurs has the right to insure the property or life. Okay. So these are the four most important principles of insurance. Okay, we have to know them for the sake of studies. So let's go back to the question. So in the question there, so the answer which we can give here relating to what we have seen from there, we have the principle of indemnity, because for this principle, as we have seen, it does not allow the insured from gaining over the insured property. Okay. So gaining profit. So there doesn't allow the insured to from gaining over the insuring property. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, over gaining of money or anything. Okay, so that's what we have. Then we go to the other side. So we have question 18. Okay, dash a medium of advertisement. Okay, which uses fashion parades or trade fairs. Okay, so these are special occasions. Okay, to attract a large audience to appear for increased demand, okay, for the displayed product. So like in Zambia here, we usually have trade fairs. Okay, so trade fairs and other particular type of shows which are there, those they are said to be exhibitions. Okay, so exhibitions are those are particular shows which are made to increase the sale of the product. Okay, so we have exhibitions. Then we go to the other question. So question 19, dash is when two or more producers of one kind of product, okay, put their resources together to advertise a product to promote its use. So now, if we look at type of advertising, there are four type of advertising, and I'll give you the basic of these four type of advertising. Okay, we see them and then we answer the question. So let's look at the type of advertisement first of all. Okay, so the type of advertisements which we have, the first one is informative advertisement. So this type of advertisement, okay, inform the public of a new product. Okay, of new products. Like for example, we have a new car launch, like what Toyota Zambia do. Toyota Zambia, when they are producing a vehicle, they will launch it. Okay, so that is one of it. And then also we have they even inform people on matters of the public interest. Okay, like for example, when they are producing a new iPhone, for example, maybe a new phone, they give out inform people about the public interest and so forth. Okay, and then we have the other type of advertisement, which is said to be persuasive advertisement. So persuasive advertisement, it describes or it involves telling people that a particular brand is superior to the others. So this is the mostly one way of gaining people's attention, or maybe forcing people to buy a product. Okay, so they will use any type of means to convince people on the advantages of the particular product. Okay, and then also this type is aimed at solely at customers, and is the kind you see most on television. Okay, it tries to persuade you to buy the advertiser's products rather than his competitors, by assuring you that it is better. So those are techniques which they use. Okay, and then we have it forces customers to buy the product or services, okay, using various persuasive techniques. So that's what persuasive advertisement is. Okay, so we have also the other one, which is competitive advertising. So competitive advertising is the type of advertising where a particular manufacturer promote its product or brand. Okay, so it is used where there are several producers producing one kind of a product or service. So this is referring to the question that is given there, okay? And then also we have collective or generic advertisement. So this type of advertisement, okay, it involves advertisement of a product, okay, not a particular brand, okay? So that's what it does. And then also financed by all producers of the product. So that's what this type of advertisement do. So if we look at the four type of advertisement, we can look at the question, okay? We see what the question is about, okay? So if we see in the question, we need two or more producers of one kind of product put their resources together to advertise a product to promote its use, okay? So we call that as, okay, collective advertisement, okay? So that is collective advertisement, okay? Mostly it is done by manufacturers, okay? So this is by producers. So that fourth one which we looked at is the one. And then we have question 20. Most advertising may attempt to dash customers to entice, okay, them into buying products or services. So this one is misleading. Commonly, like if you look at persuasive advertisement, this type of advertisement, it commonly involves persuading customers or by forcing them. Okay, sometimes it can even be with the lies or any other things. Okay, as long as a customer is convinced to buy a product. So that type of advertisement basically leads to misleading. Okay, so we have the answer misleading there on question 20. Then we move on to the other particular section. Okay, we go to section B. Okay, we go to section B. So on section B there, answer all the questions in this section, okay? In the answer spaces are provided, inserted, okay? In the inserted answer booklet. So we have question 1. The following table shows problems paired with their solutions, okay? So we have serial number, we have a problem, and then we have a solution, okay? So this is more like matching, okay? And then we see if they are true, okay? Or false. The first one is distance and banking. Then we have two risk insurance, and then storage, and then warehouse. Okay, state either true or false whether each problem has been paired with its correct solution. Let's look at let's look at one. Okay, distance and banking. Distance and banking does not correspond. What can correspond to distance is transport, because transport corresponds to for example, distance. Okay, so this is not corresponding. Okay, if you at least we are the loan or anything like that, then we can say banking. Okay, so this is not a solution. So we can refer this to be false. Okay, then we go to 2. Okay, risk insurance. Okay, so the insurance is there to cover the risks of customers who involve themselves in accidents, or maybe they lose their lives, they are sick, they seek for insurance policies. Okay, so this is true. Okay, and then we go to storage warehouse. Okay, so the warehouse's function is to store goods that are either imported, or maybe goods are waiting for transportation, branding, packaging, and so forth. They can be set in the warehouse. So this is true. Okay, so we go to the other question. So in the other question here, we are given question 2. Give 3 examples of people who have no legal capacity to enter into the contract. So if we look at 3 types of people who cannot go into the legal contract, we have people who are mentally disordered, okay? A mentally disordered cannot go into a legal business or into a legal contract. Okay, and then we have children under the age of 18. Those children who are under age of 18 cannot go into the contract, okay? And then those people who are said to be intoxicated people. Intoxicated people, for example, people who may appear to be criminals or so forth, those ones cannot go into the legal business, into a legal contract, okay? They might swindle, or they might run away with the money. Okay, so those ones cannot go into the contract. So we have mentally disordered people, children under 18, intoxicated people. So those are the 3 people who cannot go into the legal contract, okay? Then we have question B. Chimwemwe Nzara bought the following goods from Zulu and Sons Limited, okay? So we have 10 boxes of yeast at 75 kwacha, okay, per box. And then we have 6 bags of flour, okay, 600 kwacha. And then we are told to calculate the total cost, okay, of goods, less 5% cash discount. So here we have cash discount. So now we have to take note that cash discount was 5%. So what we do, okay, add the total of these, we come up with a total amount in this particular form. Okay, so we'll take it up in this form. So we'll say cash before the discount. So what is the cash before the discount? So we add the total of these amounts, okay? So by adding the total, we specify to state yeast. How much are we having for yeast? Yeast, there are 10 boxes. We multiply with 75. So when we say 10 times 75, we get 750, okay? And then from there, we go to the other item, which is present, 6 bags of flour. Okay, how many are they? They are 6, okay? So we say 6 times the cost of each, that is 600. So 6 times 600, we are getting 3,600. Okay, so we add this in total, we sum up. By adding this in total, when we say 750 plus 3,600, what we get is 4,350, okay, kwacha. So that's what we get in terms of cost before the discount. Now, let's try to find the discount. How much was it taken out from the total amount? So to find the amount which was taken out from the total amount by the reduction of 5%, what we do, we calculate this. Okay, let me try to wrap this. Okay, we calculate this by stating 5% discount will be equal to this amount. We'll say 4,350 times 5% over 100. So we have to take note that percentage is out of 100. Okay, so multiply 4,350 times the 5%. Okay, and then over 100. Okay, so as we do this, what we are getting is 21,750. So this is what we'll get, and then when we multiply this 4,350 times 5, we get this value. Okay, now we take out 100. So when we take out 100, when we say 21,750 divided by 100, we are getting 217.5 kwacha. Okay, so this is the particular discount. So this amount of discount is the one which was reduced. It's the money that they reduced from the total. Okay, this was the discount. Now, if we get a discount as 217.5 kwacha, we now take it out from the total cost. Okay, which is the cost before the discount. So that cost before the discount we'll state it as cost of goods. Okay, as the cost before discount is 4,350 minus the 5% discount, which is 217.5. So when we subtract the two, what we are getting is 4,000, okay, 132.5 kwacha. Okay, so that's what we have as the value, okay, when discount is reduced. Okay, so we go to the other question. Okay, we go to the other question, which is question 3. Okay, match the barriers, okay, to foreign trade given in the column A with explanation in column B. Okay, the first one, A, which matches with the 5, has been done as an example in the answer booklet. So this one was in the answer booklet. So sorry everyone, I didn't indicate the booklet in here, but I'll try to show you. Okay, so this one was done as an example. So we have serial number, we have column A, and then in serial number we have column B. So we did the first one. Okay, A, documentation. Okay, so we read through documentation, and then it may be impossible to trade with certain countries due to different ideologies. Then we have B, currencies. Okay, 2, difficulty of communication with importers. Then we have C, political difference. The way of life of the people may not favor exporters' goods. D, language. Okay, 4, certain countries may not accept to be paid in importers' money. And then we have E, unit of measurement, 5. Okay, too much paperwork and the procedures. Okay, so now if we look at documentation is going to too much paperwork, because documentation deals with paperwork. Okay, so we can match documentation with too much paperwork and the procedures. So that is what is for documentation. So documentation goes with too much paperwork and procedures. Okay, then we go to the other one. We go to 2, which is B. Okay, we go to B, currencies. So when it comes to currencies, currencies can deal with, okay, it can deal with, okay, certain countries may not accept to be paid in the importer's money. So that's what currencies can deal with. Okay, so when it comes to currency, we have certain countries may not accept to be paid in the importer's money. So that's what is for currency. Okay, and then we have C. Okay, we have C, political differences. Okay, so political differences can go. It may not be possible to trade with the countries countries due to different ideologies. So that can be a political difference. Okay, so when countries have different ideologies, those are political differences. Okay, and then we have D. Okay, D, we have language. So language takes up difficulty of communication with the importer. So this is about language. Okay, so language basically can be different with the importer. Okay, when there are difficulty of communication with the importer, that is language. Okay, and then we have E, unit of measurement. Okay, so unit of measurement can deal with the production specification usually differ. So like if we look at, let's say for example, the products they differ in specification, okay, and measurement. So we have a unit of measurement. It can talk about production specification usually differ. Then we have culture. Okay, so culture talks about the way of life of people. If we review culture, the way of life of people may not favor the exporter's goods. So this is culture, the way of life. Culture talks about the way of life, okay? So we have culture with the 3. So that is the matching that we have from this particular table, okay? Then we go to the other question, okay? So from the other question in here, we have question 4, briefly explain 3 advantages of the private limited company. So the advantages, I'll list them here. Okay, so the advantages of the private limited company. So the first one is all shareholders have limited liability. Okay, and then we can have there is continuity of existence. Okay, even after the death of an important shareholder. Okay, so these are 2, and then the other one is it has a separate legal status from the promoters. Okay, and for the sake of studying other ones which we can state, we can also state the others, like we have it has more capacity because of more shareholders. Okay, and we can have this other one. Okay, and it has more borrowing capacity compared to a partnership. Okay, and then we can also state financial accounts are kept private. Okay, and then from the other question, they can ask us a question like, for example, 6. We have question 6. Identify 3 forms of inland transport. Okay, so what are the examples of inland transport? So transport which are on land. Okay, like for example, we have pipelines. So the first one which we can have, before we go to the other question, just a minute. So we have question 5. Sorry, we have question 5. State 3 items that are traded on the stock exchange. So if you look at the stock exchange, it is the place where shares are bought and sold. Okay, so there are 3 types of shares the particular stocks that can be found on the stock exchange, or items. So the first ones are shares, bonds, and commodities. So these are the 3 items that can be traded on the stock exchange. Okay. Then we have question 6. Identify 3 forms of inland transport. So inland transport, the first one which we have pipelines. Okay, we have railway transport. Okay, and then we have road transport. Okay, even we have in water. okay, waterway transport. That is also an example of an inland transport, okay. And then we have question 7. Fill in the following blank spaces using the word or phrase in the word list, okay. So you have word list. The first one is dishonored check, okay. So if we look at the dishonored check, a check that cannot withdraw cash, okay, or sometimes they can refuse to give it cash. And then we have bank loan, we have overdraft, we have a check, we have deposit account, we have banker's draft, okay. So we'll try to fill in the blank spaces which are given in the particular group of words which are present here, okay. So the first one is an equivalent of banker's owner's check is called, okay, an equivalent of banker's owner's check is called, so we have a banker's draft, okay. So a banker's draft is an equivalent of the banker's owner's check, okay. So we call that as a banker's draft, okay. And then dash is a facility that may be granted to a current account holder to withdraw more money than what is in the account, okay. So we call that as a bank overdraft, okay. Okay, so and then we have question 3. A dash is an account suitable for keeping temporary liquid cash, okay. So that one we call it a deposit account, okay. Then we have question 4. A fixed sum of money borrowed for a specific purpose is referred to as, so we have a bank loan, okay. And then we have question 5. The check which the bank manager has refused to cash is regarded as, so that is a dishonored check. So that check cannot be cashed out, okay. So we come to an end, dear viewers. Thank you for watching, okay. Please stay tuned for more. For the other section, we'll do it in the other videos that are coming, okay. Please, if you have comments, you can put the comments in the section, okay. I review and then I'll appreciate your support by sharing this video to the others, okay. Thank you.